Hey out there. So I'm back in the office. I want to analyze that Holmdel house, the Holmdel handyman. While I was out there, I told you it was outside my comfort zone, and it is. That purchase price, $549,000, is a lot steeper than what I'm used to paying. But besides it being outside my comfort zone for just the price itself, it also doesn't make that much business sense to me to be spending that much money with the amount of profit potential that's there. I'll give you an example. We're going to be closing on that brown house. Yes, it's still going through, hopefully next week. Purchase price of $150 with an ARV of $325. Without going into detail as far as the numbers, the renovation budget, and all that kind of stuff, let's just say for simplicity, I hope to walk away with $75,000. $75,000 combination of leaving equity in the house, because I'm going to hold it as a rental, and putting money in my pocket during renovations and the cash out refinance. That means on a deal like this, the renovation budget $150 and the purchase price of $550, you'd want to get a reduction in purchase price. But let's just say I would want 3 times the amount of profit that I'm getting on the brown house. I mean, I have that much more outlay of cash. The market isn't as broad as the brown house as far as if I needed to sell the house. When you go up there in value or price, you limit your market. All right, enough about that. Let me go into this house because this could be a home run for someone. If you're not familiar with Holmdel, which that borders our town that we live in, it's like, I'm not gonna say upper crust, but it's kind of expensive to live there. I don't think there's any bad sections of Holmdel at all. The school systems are like highly rated, like they're awesome. The plots of land are bigger and the houses are bigger, and it's a really nice place to live. Holmdel Handyman, this one has 4 bedrooms, 4 baths, the one I just toured with you. 3,400 square feet, that's a sizable house. There's an in-law suite with a bedroom, a bathroom, a kitchen. You know, somebody could actually rent that section out, or it could be for in-laws or other family members. 3-car garage. I mentioned how much I love garages. The basement, the unfinished basement, you could put another 2-3 bedrooms down there if you wanted to. Almost sounds like I'm selling you this thing. The deck, and I don't know if I mentioned, but it's in Holmdel. It's a big selling feature. I'm going to tell you how much Holmdel properties have gone up in the last year on my next screen, but let me tell you where I came up with that renovation budget. And again, I only did a walkthrough. This isn't like line by line renovation budget, but it's probably pretty close. Now, the structural stuff, I don't have any answers to, so I'm hoping that those issues aren't that big. This is where I came up with $150. Dedicate $35,000 of it to the kitchen, $32,000 to all the baths. One of them looked like it was upgraded recently, so I'm just going to dedicate $8,000 towards each bathroom. The deck, $25,000 in case I have to put some new supports in there, all new decking. I don't think you're going to be able to use wood on that value of a house. You're going to have to go with some composite decking or something like that. I want to open up a couple of the walls so that when you walk in, it's not so hokey like I spoke about. Floors, got to do floors throughout the whole thing, like nice floors. That carpet's nasty over there. $20,000, and then $13,000 left for cosmetics, paint, upgraded fixtures, things like that. Now I know a lot of people out there are going to be saying, "Hey Harry, how are you going to do 4 bathrooms for $32,000? Or you, "Hey Harry, I'm a little concerned about the open concept only being $15,000 because what if one of the walls is structural or something like that?" Again, this is from a walkthrough, and for me, I know a little bit about what I'm doing, and if I have to go in and perform my own labor or pull from another part of the budget, I should be able to. So I think $150 is pretty reasonable. So here's a key question. What would the ARV be on the house after repair value if you put $150,000 into it? Well, let me go over it with you. Now, I didn't go and pull, I traditionally will pull at least 5, 6, 7 comps, comparables for what I think the ARV would be on the particular house, the subject property that I'm going to buy. On this particular one, I didn't. I am familiar with Holmdel, and I am familiar with the fact that Holmdel has risen. The property values have gone up 9.7% in the last year. that's like a macro, if that's the right word, a macro of the whole town. Does that mean that this house value is going to go up almost 10%? Not necessarily. I'm just giving you an idea of where Holmdel's going. People want to live in Holmdel. And because people are coming down from the city, I think it's even more attractive to people. So take that into consideration. The values have gone up quite a bit over the past couple of years. In the last year, 9.7%. Here's a comp that I use. So if I go out and I got to put an offer in real fast, I want to at least have a ballpark of what I think the ARV will come up with. And then I'll put the offer in, and then I'll kind of like chisel it down to make sure that the numbers make sense. Just so happens in January of this year, the neighbor right next door sold for $706,000. But Harry, between the purchase price and the rehab, you're saying $700,000. Never mind carrying costs and closing costs. How is this even a make sense kind of a deal? Well, I'm going to tell you in just 1 second. $706,000 the neighbor's house sold for. Now the neighbors, and that's just 2 months ago. Now here's a good like kind of trend, I guess. Zestimate has already upped it to $718,000. I don't count on Zillow's Zestimate for the value of a property. However, the trend is that Zillow knows that it sold for $706 and is still giving it an extra $12,000 from like less than 2 months ago. That's a nice trend. So here's what I'm taking into consideration on the neighbor's house. I'm looking at the neighbor's house. Is it comparable? It is, but it's smaller by 600 square feet. It's 4 bedrooms, 4 bath, 2,800 square feet. It's got 2-car garage, not 3 like the subject property. It equals up to $252 a square foot. And again, this is not an exact science. I'm just telling you how I initially come up with a value. That means $252 a square foot for a 2,800 square foot house that sold for $706,000. If all I do is use that square feet, $252 per square foot, and applied it to almost 3,400, it's actually 3,399, 3,400 square feet, you'd come up with a value of $856,000. Now that's not chump change. But wait, is the house going to sell for $856,000? I think that would be a long shot. Is this property kind of like you're speculating instead of investing? Some people might say that. Is it reasonable to say that you could put this house on the market for $799? And yes, it may not sell the first weekend, but I think there's a good chance that this house would sell for $799. However, you're going to have to take the following into consideration. So yes, with the square feet at $252 a square foot, that's what's coming up with $856,000. However, I'm not saying I'm a know-it-all, but I doubt it's going to sell for that amount. This is going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on, because if somebody else buys it and they renovate it and then they go to sell it, it's going to be interesting to see what it finally does sell for. Because like I mentioned in that tour, a factor that you got going against you is that it's a stale house. Like, it's been on the market for so long, just about everybody and their brother has looked at it. So it's going to have to be done nice to blow people out of the water. So let's look at some numbers. I think it could sell for $800,000. With the $550 purchase price and $150,000 reno, you pay it all in at $700,000. Initially, it looks like it'd be a $100,000 profit. But wait, let's not forget about a couple things. The commission's going to be going out of it, because this is going to have to be a flip. It can't be a hold. You're going to be paying about $30,000 in just commission, unless you used Harry. Carrying costs are probably going to be about $25,000. Now, if you just have cash laying around for the purchase and the rehab, then you won't have any carrying costs. However, wherever you had that money before, you're going to be losing money as far as an investment. So you got to take that into consideration. And in closing costs, this is a modest amount, $15,000, but I still think it would be around there, $15,000. So $30,000 is $30,000. Is it worth it with these numbers? No. I mean, unless I'm missing something here. However, I did say in the beginning, the $550 purchase price, in my opinion, is a little too high. So could you get this at $500? Possibly. Possibly you could. So the 30 turned into, with the reduction in the price, if you can get it, into $80,000. There's a little bit more meat on the bone, makes it a little bit more attractive. Here's the cons to this property. Well, I already went over the purchase price and the rehab are sizable. If this goes south, that's a lot of money to eat, and it's hard to get back out because you have to flip it. You can't hold it as a rental. For that amount of money, you'd have to rent it for, I don't know, $4,500, $4,800 just to break even. And then hopefully with the appreciation and everything else, it would catch up. So realistically, this is not a hold property. You're gonna have to flip it. You're gonna have a limited market. With the houses that I buy, where the ARV is between $300,000-$400,000. Actually, the ARVs for me is somewhere between $300,000 and $375,000. That's a sweet spot, in my opinion. There's so many first-time home buyers and people that can afford that amount of house that the market is just huge. When you're talking about an $800,000 house, you're getting up towards that $1 million mark. The market is less. There's less people out there that can qualify and actually want those homes. The timing. This is going to be crucial. We don't know where the interest rates are going, what the economy is doing with foreclosures and everything else. So if you want to get in and get top dollar, you're going to have to get out as soon as possible. So you're going to have to get it back out into the market ASAP. Is the market going to stay where it is? I don't know. I think it is, but no one has a crystal ball. So the speed of the renovation is going to be key. Really, you should get in and out of this house under 90 days. If you can do it in 60, great. You're going to have contractors. There's going to be a lot of moving parts. The carrying costs, the closing costs, etc., on this size of a project can eat you alive. They can eat you alive. So anyway, this is my take. This is me analyzing the Holmdel property. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not for me. But I just want to let you know that there are houses out there to get into. Some are riskier than others, and this is a riskier one in my opinion.